Officer David Miller stood, a picture of growing bewilderment, outside Rex's kennel, listening to the relentless, guttural barks that tore through the usually quiet precinct. Rex, his formidable police dog, a German shepherd of impeccable lineage and unmatched discipline, had been barking nonstop for 3 days now. It was completely unprecedented, a stark anomaly in the K9 unit's otherwise predictable routines. Rex, a highly trained K9 asset in their small American town, was known for his stoicism, his laser focus during drills, and his calm, almost regal demeanor when off duty. To hear such raw, uncontrolled noise emanating from him was deeply unsettling, a discordant symphony that grated on every nerve. Officer Miller himself embodied the quintessential K9 handler, stern, dedicated, with an almost uncanny ability to communicate silently with his canine partner. He'd spent 7 years with Rex, every day forging an unbreakable bond, a partnership built on trust, respect, and countless hours of rigorous training. Rex wasn't just a police dog. He was family, a shadow, a confidant. Their connection was legendary within the department, a testament to the symbiotic relationship between handler and K9. Rex's usual comportment was one of quiet alertness, his intelligent eyes always scanning, his ears ever twitching. But never, not once in all their years together, had he exhibited such sustained, frantic distress. This wasn't just barking, it was a desperate plea, a guttural cry that spoke of an unseen torment. The incessant clamor had begun as a mere nuisance, quickly escalating into a full-blown crisis that had every officer, dispatcher, and even the mayor himself raising eyebrows. The entire precinct was disrupted, sleep cycles were obliterated, phone calls interrupted, and the general air of calm competence that usually pervaded the station had been replaced by a palpable tension. What could possibly be wrong with Rex? The question hung heavy in the air, echoing the dog's persistent cries. Veterinarians had been called in, performing comprehensive examinations, ruling out every conceivable physical ailment from ear infections to internal parasites. Rex was, by all medical accounts, perfectly healthy. K9 trainers, the best in the region, had offered their expertise, attempting behavioral modifications, scent checks, environmental changes, but nothing worked. Rex simply continued to bark, his powerful chest heaving with each urgent expulsion of sound, his eyes wide with a distress no one could decipher. Officer Miller had tried everything he could think of personally. He'd spent hours by the kennel, talking to Rex in soothing tones, offering his favorite toys, the special, high-grade biscuits usually reserved for exceptional performance. He'd even brought a blanket from their home, hoping the familiar scent might calm his partner, but it was all in vain. Rex acknowledged Miller's presence with a brief, almost pained glance before resuming his relentless vocalizations. The dog's behavior was completely out of character, a stark departure from the disciplined animal everyone knew and respected. The mystery deepened with each passing hour, turning from a concern into a genuine enigma that weighed heavily on Miller's heart. He felt a profound sense of helplessness, a gnawing worry that he, the one person Rex trusted above all, was failing him. The precinct was a mess, everyone tired and frayed, and the collective frustration was mounting. This wasn't just about a noisy dog. It was about the health and well-being of a beloved member of their team, and the inability to understand his suffering was agonizing. The town, used to Rex's silent professionalism, was starting to notice the commotion, and whispers were beginning to spread. What could possibly be making a K9 bark like that for days on end? The answer remained elusive, a dark cloud hanging over the small town's police force. For more heartwarming and mysterious stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. And so, The baffling cacophony continued, echoing through the usually quiet precinct yard, a relentless testament to Rex's profound distress. Officer Miller, a man of unwavering patience and deep understanding of his canine partner, found himself utterly outmaneuvered. He tried everything: extended walks through the town's sprawling park, hoping familiar scents and open spaces would soothe Rex's agitated spirit. He offered Rex his absolute favorite, the special freeze-dried salmon treats usually reserved for exemplary behavior, but even those failed to distract the dog from his obsessive barking. Desperate, Miller had even spent several nights on a cot right outside the kennel, attempting to offer a calming presence, a familiar anchor in Rex's turbulent world. But the barking persisted, a rhythmic, guttural expression of an unknown agony, breaking through the silence of the night, defying every attempt at comfort. The persistent noise quickly seeped beyond the precinct walls, becoming an undeniable presence in the small, close-knit community. People who had always known Rex as the epitome of canine professionalism, a silent, disciplined shadow at Officer Miller's side, began to whisper. Children, who usually delighted in seeing the police dog perform his impressive drills, now gave the station a wide berth, frightened by the uncharacteristic racket. Rumors started to circulate, hushed conversations in grocery store aisles and at the local diner. Was Rex sick? Had he been injured? Was he perhaps losing his mind? The uncertainty fueled a morbid curiosity, and the once revered K9, now a source of inexplicable disturbance, became the subject of nervous speculation. The true source of Rex's distress remained a stubborn, impenetrable obstacle. It was an invisible enemy, a silent antagonist defying all logic and expertise. Veterinarians, after thorough examinations, found no physical ailment. His blood work was perfect, his joints sound, his heart strong. Canine behaviorists, called in from a larger metropolitan area, watched Rex for hours, observing his posturing, his ear movements, his tail set, but could not pinpoint any environmental trigger or psychological root cause for the continuous vocalization. They suggested everything from separation anxiety to a deeply buried trauma, theories quickly dismissed by Miller, who knew Rex's history and disposition intimately. Officer Miller continued his relentless pursuit of a solution, his own frustration mounting with each failed attempt. He experimented with different diets, thinking perhaps a food sensitivity was the culprit. He tried aromatherapy in the kennel, playing soft classical music, even covering the kennel entirely to reduce external stimuli. Nothing worked. The barking was relentless, a constant thrum beneath the surface of the precinct's daily operations. He and the behaviorists batted around numerous theories, each more unlikely than the last. Was it a high-frequency sound only dogs could hear? A phantom scent from a past case, triggering an ancient fear response? They even considered the remote possibility of a neurological issue. But the vet's clean bill of health debunked that idea too. Every tentative solution collapsed under the weight of Rex's unwavering, mysterious protest, leaving Miller more perplexed and worried than before. The once unbreakable bond with his companion felt strained not by friction, but by an unbreachable wall of misunderstanding. The incessant, mournful barks of Rex continued to echo through the usually quiet precinct grounds, a constant grating reminder of the unsolved mystery that had taken root in Officer Miller's life. Day after day, the sound persisted, a haunting symphony of distress that no one seemed capable of quieting. However, a new, almost imperceptible element was slowly entering this cacophony, unknowingly weaving itself into the fabric of the ongoing enigma. Her name was Maya, a young black girl with eyes that held a quiet depth and a spirit brimming with unspoken melodies. Maya was an aspiring singer, though her shyness often kept her voice a secret, a soft hum for her ears alone. Her route to school, a path she had trodden countless times, passed directly by the precinct's canine kennels. Each afternoon, returning home, Maya would hear the relentless barking. It wasn't the aggressive, assertive bark of a police dog on duty, but something far more sorrowful, a sound that stirred a deep, empathetic chord within her. Unconsciously, almost as a reflex to the persistent noise, Maya would begin to hum. It was a gentle, almost inaudible melody, a wordless tune that flowed from her naturally. She never intended for anyone, least of all Rex, to hear it. Yet, something remarkable, though initially unnoticed, began to happen. As Maya passed, humming her soft, melancholic tunes, Rex's barking would momentarily lessen. It wasn't a complete cessation, not a sudden silence, but a subtle dip in the intensity, a brief, almost imperceptible pause in the relentless clamor, before it would surge back once she was out of earshot. It was a fleeting moment, easily dismissed amidst the overwhelming noise, but it was there, a tiny ripple in the turbulent waters of Rex's distress. Officer Miller, meanwhile, was rapidly approaching his breaking point. The stress of Rex's unexplained behavior was taking a profound toll. His usually sharp focus was dulled by sleepless nights and constant worry. Rex, his partner, his shadow, his confidant, was suffering, and Miller felt utterly helpless. His reputation as a top-tier canine handler, a man who intuitively understood his canine partner, felt like it was crumbling around him. The veterinarians had no answers, the trainers were baffled, and the chief was beginning to look at Miller with a mixture of concern and thinly veiled impatience. Every failed attempt to soothe Rex chipped away at Miller's resolve, leaving him feeling more desperate, more alone in this perplexing battle. He tried everything imaginable, from extended play sessions to quiet, comforting talks in the kennel, but nothing worked. The barking always returned, stronger, more relentless than before. It was during one of these moments of utter despair, as Miller sat slumped by Rex's kennel, utterly defeated, that he first truly registered the anomaly. He was watching Rex, searching for any clue, any change, when he noticed the slight, almost imperceptible shift in the dog's demeanor. The barking, for just a few seconds, seemed to soften, to lose some of its frantic edge. Miller looked up, scanning the empty street, seeing nothing out of the ordinary. But then, a few minutes later, as the barking intensified once more, he saw her, a small figure disappearing around the corner, a school backpack slung over her shoulder. It was Maya. He hadn't heard her humming, but he had noticed the brief lull in Rex's distress coinciding with her presence. He initially dismissed it, of course. It had to be a coincidence. The human mind, under immense pressure, often seeks patterns where none exist, grasping at straws. Yet, a tiny, almost imperceptible flicker of curiosity, a nascent hypothesis, had been planted in the depths of Officer Miller's exhausted mind. He didn't know what it meant, or even if it meant anything at all. But for the first time in days, he considered that something beyond veterinary science or strict canine protocol might be at play. The endless barking was intolerable, yes, but perhaps something truly unexpected was the key to unlocking its secret. The faint flicker of curiosity that had sparked within Officer Miller would soon be fanned into a blazing revelation. Unbeknownst to him, Maya, after days of witnessing Rex's relentless distress, felt a profound and growing empathy for the tormented canine. Each afternoon, as she walked past the precinct, The incessant barking was a mournful soundtrack to her journey home. It spoke of a pain she instinctively understood, a silent plea that resonated deeply within her gentle spirit. One particularly warm Tuesday, the sound seemed more desperate, more frayed than usual. Her heart ached for the powerful dog trapped in his misery. She paused, her small hand clutching the strap of her backpack, her eyes fixed on the wire mesh of the kennel where Rex paced. Gathering every ounce of her quiet courage, Maya made a bold and spontaneous decision. She wouldn't just hum today. She wouldn't just walk by. She would sing. Right there, outside the precinct for all to hear, she would offer the only comfort she knew how. Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes for a moment, and then, her voice surprisingly clear and resonant despite her shyness, she began to sing. It was a lullaby, an old folk tune her grandmother had taught her, full of soothing cadences and gentle comfort. The melody drifted through the late afternoon air, a pure, unadorned offering. The immediate impact was nothing short of miraculous. The moment Maya's first notes filled the space, Rex's frenzied barking abruptly ceased. The sudden silence was jarring, almost deafening after days of relentless noise. Officer Miller, who had been inside the office attempting to file a report amid the cacophony, literally froze mid-sentence. The unexpected quiet was so profound, so utterly out of place, that it sent a jolt of alarm through him. He dashed out of the building, his heart pounding, expecting to find some new, catastrophic development. What he found instead stopped him dead in his tracks. Standing by Rex's kennel, her eyes still mostly closed, was Maya, her voice a gentle balm pouring into the quiet air. And inside the kennel, Rex, the mighty K9, was not barking, not pacing, not showing any sign of his recent torment. Instead, he was lying down, his massive head resting on his paws, his intense gaze fixed solely on Maya. A stillness had settled over him, an almost reverent calm that Miller hadn't seen in days. The dog's ears were perked, his body relaxed, every ounce of his attention captivated by the small girl's song. Officer Miller was utterly stunned. His jaw went slack. He blinked, rubbing his eyes, convinced his exhaustion was finally making him hallucinate. But Maya continued to sing, and Rex remained utterly placid, watching her with an almost tranquil focus. This wasn't a brief lull, a fleeting moment of quiet. This was a complete, profound cessation of the behavior that had plagued them for what felt like an eternity. The contrast was so stark, so absolute, that it defied all logic and expectation. 1,000 questions swirled through Miller's mind. How was this possible? Was it a fluke? A bizarre coincidence that she just happened to sing at the exact moment Rex decided to stop? His skepticism, honed by years of police work and rigorous K9 training, immediately kicked in. This was too simple, too ethereal, too unscientific. Yet, as he watched the scene unfold, a tiny, almost imperceptible flicker of hope ignited within him. A desperate, irrational hope, perhaps, but hope nonetheless. He had exhausted every logical avenue, every known protocol. Maybe, just maybe, the answer lay in something completely outside the realm of his understanding. He stood there, hidden by the corner of the building, observing the utterly surreal interaction, a part of him still disbelieving, but another part, a larger, more desperate part, clinging to the fragile possibility that this shy, singing girl had stumbled upon the key to Rex's inexplicable torment. The absolute stillness of Rex, a dog who had been a whirlwind of frantic barks for days, was irrefutable evidence that something truly extraordinary was happening. The silence that had fallen over the usually raucous kennel was profound, almost deafening after days of unending noise. Officer Miller, emerging from the precinct building, found himself staring at a sight that defied all logic. Rex, his indomitable K9 partner, lay calmly in his run, head resting on his paws, eyes fixed on the small girl who stood just beyond the fence, her soft, clear voice weaving a spell. Maya, initially startled by Miller's sudden appearance, paused, her cheeks flushing. The lullaby, however, had done its work. Rex remained perfectly still, a picture of tranquil attention. Miller, still reeling from the shock, approached cautiously, his boots crunching on the gravel. "Thank you," he managed, his voice a little hoarse with emotion and disbelief. "That was remarkable. What did you just do?" Maya, her shyness returning in the face of the K9 officer, mumbled, "I just sang." He seemed sad. Miller knelt down, bringing himself to her eye level. "He hasn't stopped barking for days. No one could calm him. Not the vets, not the trainers, not even me. Could you sing for him again? Just for a moment?" Maya hesitated. Then, sensing the genuine plea in the officer's eyes, nodded shyly. She took a deep breath, and her voice, pure and unaffected, once again filled the air with the gentle melody. Immediately, Rex, who had momentarily stirred at Miller's presence, settled back down, his tail giving a soft, almost imperceptible thump against the ground. The powerful K9, a creature of intense focus and boundless energy, was completely captivated. Miller watched, mesmerized, as the connection between the girl and the dog solidified before his very eyes. It wasn't a fluke. It wasn't a coincidence. This was real. Over the next few days, this incredible, almost magical pattern repeated itself. Each afternoon, as Maya walked home from school, she would pause by Rex's kennel. With Miller's permission, and often his eager presence, she would sing her lullabies, her voice a balm to the agitated dog. And each time, without fail, Rex would respond. His tormented barking would cease, replaced by an attentive calmness that had been absent for what felt like an eternity. He would watch her, his intelligent eyes never leaving her face, absorbing every note, every inflection. Officer Miller began to schedule his breaks around Maya's passing, eager to witness the miracle, to understand it, even if he couldn't explain it. News of the singing girl and the barking dog began to spread like wildfire through the quiet town. At first, it was whispered rumors among the precinct staff, then curious glances from passers-by. Soon, a small crowd would occasionally gather, drawn by the unusual sight and the almost unbelievable story. Children would point, adults would murmur in astonishment, all watching the shy girl bring peace to the formidable police dog. The precinct, once dominated by Rex's frantic cries, now often echoed with Maya's sweet melodies, punctuated by periods of profound, welcome silence. For Maya, this newfound attention was a double-edged sword. Her inherent shyness made her uncomfortable at first. But as she saw the genuine relief on Officer Miller's face, and felt the immense, almost palpable gratitude radiating from Rex, something shifted within her. Each time Rex settled down under her voice, a tiny seed of confidence bloomed. Her voice, initially soft and almost hesitant, began to grow stronger, clearer, imbued with purpose. She wasn't just a shy girl anymore. She was the girl who could calm the uncalmable K9. Her unique ability gave her a sense of power, a connection to something larger than herself. She wasn't merely singing, she was healing. And in doing so, she was, unknowingly, setting the stage for a revelation yet to come. The initial problem of Rex's barking seemed to be solved, replaced by a quiet wonder. But the true depth of Rex's message and the purpose behind his distress remained just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to emerge. The fragile peace brought by Maya's singing, though miraculous, proved to be an ephemeral reprieve. One particularly harsh afternoon, just as the sun began its descent and Maya was still at school, the precinct was once again plunged into the familiar cacophony of Rex's relentless barking. It wasn't just barking. It was a guttural, desperate sound, more intense and frantic than before, echoing through the halls. A stark reminder that the underlying problem remained unresolved. The temporary calm had been shattered, revealing the persistent nature of Rex's distress. Officer Miller's heart sank. He had allowed himself to hope, to believe that Maya's unique connection was a permanent solution, but this renewed outburst proved otherwise. It was a clear, unambiguous signal that her presence, while profoundly calming, merely masked a deeper, more fundamental issue. Rex wasn't simply distressed. He was trying to communicate something critical, and without Maya, his efforts reverted to a primal, ear-splitting plea. This setback, though disheartening, also served as a catalyst for a deeper investigation. Miller realized he couldn't rely solely on Maya's soothing presence to quell the symptoms. He needed to understand the root cause. He approached Maya again, not just with gratitude, but with a new proposition. He explained his theory, that Rex wasn't just reacting to an internal distress, but to an external stimulus he couldn't identify. He needed her to sing, yes, but also to help him observe. Maya, understanding the gravity of the situation and feeling a burgeoning sense of responsibility for Rex, readily agreed. Their sessions evolved from simple performances into a focused, almost scientific observation. During these renewed singing sessions, with Maya's voice weaving its calming magic, Officer Miller began to scrutinize Rex's behavior with an entirely new level of attention. He watched the dog's eyes, the twitch of his ears, the subtle shifts in his posture. He noticed how Rex, even while entranced by Maya's melodies, would occasionally break his gaze from her. His head would cock slightly, his ears swiveling, almost imperceptibly, towards a specific direction. He wasn't looking at the sky or the ground, or even at Miller. His focus consistently drifted towards a small, almost hidden corner of the precinct yard, beyond the direct line of sight from the kennel. It was a blind spot obscured by a dense cluster of overgrown bushes and a slightly dilapidated storage shed. Miller tried to follow Rex's gaze, to discern what could possibly be there, but from his vantage point, he saw nothing. The area appeared mundane, just usual backyard clutter. Yet, every time Maya sang and Rex settled into his hypnotic trance, his eyes would invariably return to that exact spot, a silent, persistent insistence. This wasn't random. It was a recurring pattern, a specific direction. It was as if Maya's singing lowered Rex's internal noise, allowing him to more clearly articulate, through his subtlest body language, the true object of his concern. The barking wasn't just a cry for help. It was an alarm, precisely aimed. The realization slowly dawned on Miller. Rex wasn't simply barking at nothing. He wasn't just suffering from some inexplicable anxiety. He was trying, in the only way he knew how, to alert them to something specific, something hidden within that blind spot. The incessant barking, the relentless clamor, wasn't distress for distress's sake. It was a desperate, unheard warning, a canine beacon pointing towards an unseen threat or a hidden plight. Maya's singing wasn't healing Rex. It was giving them the clarity to finally hear him, to decipher the urgency in his silence, the precision in his gaze. The true mystery wasn't why Rex was barking, but what he had been trying to tell them all along, obscured by the very intensity of his own frantic communication. The unseen threat, the silent secret, lay just beyond the visual barrier, compelling Rex to exhaust himself in a desperate, unheard plea. Armed with Rex's subtle yet insistent indications, and with Maya's steady, reassuring presence now a vital part of the equation, Officer Miller felt a surge of adrenaline mixed with trepidation. The next afternoon, as Maya began her familiar melodies, calming Rex into his intense focus, Miller moved deliberately towards the blind spot Rex had so consistently fixated upon. Every step was calculated, every glance around him searching for the unseen. The thick, overgrown bushes rustled faintly as he pushed them aside, the air growing still as he peered into the shadowy recess beneath the dilapidated shed. What he saw defied all expectations. Tucked away amongst discarded planks and damp soil, barely visible in the gloom, was a tiny, trembling ball of fur. It was a kitten, no bigger than his hand, its small body shuddering with cold and what appeared to be pain. Its fur was matted, its breathing shallow and labored. Miller strained his ears, but heard nothing. No meow, no faint cry. Yet, as he watched, Rex, from his kennel, let out a soft, almost imperceptible whine, his eyes fixed on the spot. It was a sound of profound relief, mixed with lingering concern, utterly different from the frantic barks that had plagued the precinct for days. The revelation hit Miller with the force of a physical blow. Rex's incessant, maddening barking hadn't been a sign of his own distress, not entirely. It had been a desperate, unheeded alarm, an attempt to draw attention to this tiny, suffering creature. The kitten, critically injured, barely clinging to life, had been making faint, ultrasonic cries, sounds far beyond the range of human hearing, but painfully clear to Rex's acute senses. He had been trying to communicate, to warn, to implore for help for days, his canine compassion overriding all his training and decorum. And Maya, with her innocent, empathetic singing, had unknowingly become the bridge that allowed his message to finally be understood. Carefully, so as not to startle the fragile animal further, Miller reached into the dark crevice. The kitten, surprisingly, didn't struggle, too weak to resist. He gently cupped the tiny body in his hands, feeling its rapid, shallow heartbeat against his palm. He emerged from the bushes, holding the kitten with utmost care, and walked back towards the kennel. Rex watched him, his gaze intense, then let out another soft whine, a sound of profound gratitude. Maya, her song trailing off as she saw the tiny creature, gasped, her eyes wide with understanding and a deep, empathetic sadness. Without a moment's hesitation, Miller radioed for assistance, requesting immediate veterinary attention. He carefully placed the kitten into a small box lined with a soft cloth, keeping it warm and secure. The precinct veterinarian arrived swiftly, assessing the kitten's critical condition. It was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and had a nasty gash on its back leg, likely from a sharp piece of debris. The vet commended Miller's quick thinking and Rex's incredible instincts. The immediate focus shifted to the kitten's rescue and urgent medical care. It was taken to an emergency animal hospital, its chances uncertain but significantly improved now that it had been discovered. Back at the precinct, a quiet reverence settled over the scene. The pervasive, stressful barking was gone, replaced by a profound silence that spoke volumes. The true hero in this entire perplexing saga wasn't just Rex for his unwavering dedication, but Maya. Her singing wasn't merely a calming agent, it was the crucial, unexpected key. It had unlocked Rex's true message, allowing his frantic, unheard pleas to finally be deciphered, leading to the rescue of a life that would otherwise have been lost. The quiet melody had become a lifeline. The tiny kitten, once a fragile bundle struggling for life, made a remarkable recovery at the local animal shelter. Its initial critical condition steadily improved under the diligent care of the veterinarians and the shelter staff, who were all captivated by the extraordinary story of its rescue. Within a few weeks, the small feline, now named Melody in honor of Maya's pivotal role, found its forever home with a loving family in a neighboring town, where it quickly became a cherished member. Rex, freed from the burden of his silent vigil, gradually returned to his customary calm and professional demeanor. His bond with Officer Miller, already profound, deepened into something almost spiritual, a testament to their shared ordeal and the unspoken understanding that now existed between them. But it was with Maya that Rex formed an entirely new and special connection. She was no longer just the girl who passed by. She was his confidant, the one who truly understood his voice, even when it was expressed through silence. Whenever Maya visited the precinct, a regular occurrence after the incident, Rex would greet her with a soft whine and a gentle nuzzle, a stark contrast to his usual stoicism. Their unique affinity became a quiet symbol of the unexpected pathways understanding can take. Maya, initially a shy and unassuming girl, found herself thrust into the local spotlight. Her unique gift, once a private solace, was now recognized and celebrated throughout the community. News channels picked up the heartwarming story, and Maya, with her endearing modesty and powerful voice, quickly became a local hero. The experience had a profound impact on her personal development. The quiet confidence she had tentatively discovered while singing to Rex blossomed into an unwavering self-assurance. She began performing at local events, her voice growing stronger and more resonant with each appearance. Her grandmother, brimming with pride, would often sit in the front row, a knowing smile gracing her lips, recognizing the burgeoning star her granddaughter was becoming. The entire incident served as a powerful narrative for the community, a reminder of the often unseen struggles around them and the unlikely heroes who emerge. It highlighted in the most moving way the incredible power of empathy, illustrating how a young girl's compassionate heart and a unique talent could unlock a mystery that baffled seasoned professionals. It underscored the profound and often underestimated connection between humans and animals, demonstrating that communication transcends spoken words, manifesting in subtle cues, insistent barks, and soothing melodies. The story became a poignant testament to how, sometimes, the most unexpected individuals hold the key to understanding the deepest mysteries and the most urgent pleas, revealing truths hidden in plain sight. Officer Miller often reflected on Maya's extraordinary sensitivity, understanding that without her empathetic ear and melodic intervention, Rex's desperate message would have remained unheard, and the kitten's life tragically lost. Their story underscored that true listening often requires more than just hearing. It demands an open heart and a willingness to perceive beyond the obvious. It was a lesson in humility for everyone involved, a powerful reminder that wisdom can originate from the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the most unconventional solutions are the most effective. The precinct, once disturbed by the ceaseless barking, now hummed with a quiet appreciation for the harmony that had been restored, a harmony forged by a brave dog, a persistent officer, and a girl whose voice became the bridge between two worlds. If this incredible tale of an unbreakable bond, unheard cries, and unexpected heroes resonated with you, please show your support by giving this video a like. Share your thoughts and reflections in the comments below. What did you find most inspiring about Maya's courage or Rex's dedication? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more extraordinary stories that celebrate the power of connection and the magic of empathy. We have exciting new content coming soon. exploring forgotten historical mysteries and untold tales of everyday heroism. So hit that notification bell to stay updated.